The Fanatec sequential shifter V1.5 has been used for a very long time, but is it worth it in 2023? Well, I am Arvid Silver and I will tell you about if it's worth it and how it actually works. So let me just take my camera and show you some more in real life. Okay, so here we have a closer look at the actual handbrake, and as you can see, I have my handbrake here, and then I have the shifter here, which we're going to have a closer look at. So you can see here it's made by Fanatec. It's quite big in the sense of what's called width, height, and mostly the thickness, the height of it is quite a lot higher than what you might expect. I thought it was going to be a lot smaller. But then, if you want to know, and if you want to know that this is actually, you can adjust the amount of resistance on it. So you can see there that there is a hole, and that is where you can actually change the resistance. But then otherwise you can easily put it into each gear, but then to put it into reverse and into 7th you have to push it down like that, because now I'm not pushing. I can only go to 6, as you could have seen. 6 there, only up to 5th, but then I press in and I can easily go there. And the same thing here, it's in first, press down like that. And then you might want to know how to change it into sequential mode. And if you see here, there are few lines you can see. So I just swipe a thing you might have heard. And then, and now if I want to go here, I can only put it into sequential. So that's how easy everything is. But how does it feel in-game? Well, let me take you to Automobilista 2 and show you how it works in manual and then sequential. Okay, so now we are in the car. As you can see, we are in the Nissan Group C car. So let us just put it in gear. Then we want to just slowly drive it out. And I'm please don't comment on my manual shifter driving, because I'm not the best at it. Okay, so the only comments I have on it in manual is basically my skill level, but otherwise I feel like it is quite good, because it's not like super hard to find the gears. But what you have to remember is braking, which I still have not got the hang of yet with a manual. But shifting isn't that hard upwards there, that is. But this car feels quite nice, at least. Must have been really hard for the guys and girls in the olden days to drive with a manual, because you have to think about the gearing, the clutch all the time. And then, but also I'm not even heel and towing, so that's another thing which you have to think about driving. Then also if you do like, what's it called, if you just do like that, then it gets stuck in the gear, which I have to also think about. But I would say learning how to accelerate with a car is easy, but then you also said I accidentally put it into second when I didn't want that. And if you accidentally put it in the wrong gear, you will lose a ton of time when shifting upwards, or when shifting downwards you will, what's it called, break your engine. But you can see my pedal inputs, what I'm doing. And we're in the gravel again. And did I stall the engine? No, but there I did. So I feel like that's enough about the actual manual side. But before we go, I have just some pointers to talk about, because in the manual, let me just talk a bit technical about this. It has obviously a spring so you can push it down and up, but I feel like this doesn't have like any resistance fully. I feel like it's mostly magnetic, because in like I'll talk about more about that in the sequential mode, but let me just tell you that in manual it feels alright. But now let me take you to Bathurst and drive around one of the V8 supercars, or the only one which is in the game. Okay, so now we are here in Bathurst, where they just had the where they had the Bathurst 24 hours. And here in the sequential mode is where my comments on the actual feeling of it start to come. And that's the thing when talking about that, what's it called? It's that it doesn't feel like that progressive. It just feels like it just feels like it just breaks, what's it called? It just feels, this is where it might become a bit, well, it's not that hard technical things. It's that when I shift, it doesn't feel progressive, and what I mean by that is it doesn't feel like a spring is in it. It feels like a magnet. And the problem with that is when you drive, you don't get like the sensation of force, continuous amounts of force, which I feel like might be a bit more realistic. But that's what I have in my Handbrake, which can also turn into sequential shifter, and that one feels, in my opinion, quite a bit nicer. But still, it's not like a deal breaker in my opinion. V8 cars are super tricky. But then when we think about the gearbox, obviously with the sequential, you don't have to think about the clutch, so you can just put your hand on it and just drive, which is quite fun to do, because then you don't have to actually take a focus more on the road. The only problem is when driving some of these cars, remember to turn on the clutch, to use the clutch when these cars don't have anti-stall. But that's just the thing to remember. A lot of these things get what's it called, need a ton of practice, because you need it in your muscle memory to be able to do them very well, especially manual. Because at home I'm practicing to get my license. I'm learning, and there I have a manual / sequential car. It's really easy. You just pull forwards to go down, back to go up again. Whilst manually you have to do that with your hands. Then you have to also remember the clutch. So yeah, it's quite a bit harder. But still, manuals are what most people call the true, what's it called, you get truly control of the car. Also, in my opinion, I feel like sequentials are a lot better. Might be a controversial opinion, but at least you get better control of, the shifts are a lot quicker. You can really feel this car, the rear loves to step out. And it's not due to setup, it's due to them having locked differentials. And what that means is both tires at the rear spin at the same rate. Whilst in an open differential, or like what they want, the cars drive at two different radiuses with the tires. So they want to move at two different radiuses, so one wants to move quicker than the other. But if you want more details on that, just search up like Donut Media or something about differentials. I won't go into that, and I definitely don't want to get into that when speaking about it in the Razer firms. You who know, those who know, they know. But this car is really fun, and I feel like the sequential makes things a bit harder. But then with this, I know definitely with AMS2, but I don't know how it is with with other sims. You can drive, let's say, modern F1 cars in manuals. You can pretend to be Senna around Monaco with modern cars and manual. So it becomes a lot harder. But then if we go back to the gear lever, it costs 260 euros in Europe, plus shipping, of course. I feel like it's, and that's including tax. I feel like in America it's about roughly the same amount in dollars, just without tax added on. And then if you think in Australia or Japan, or where they have their other store, it is a lot more expensive. But is it worth it? In my opinion, yes. So if you're out there wanting to buy a manual shifter in 2023 and you have Fanatec's gear, I would say buy that, which I have beside me. What's it called? Obviously, Thrustmaster have their other versions. I don't have no idea how good they are. I just know this is quite good, so I recommend it. Gets a thumbs up from me. But that was the end of this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button and also subscribe. And also comment down below if there's anything else which you can see here or in the details in the description of my setup which you want me to review. Otherwise, my next video might include my handbrake and shifter. We might go do some rallying. We'll see. Maybe maybe Rennsport wants to say hello and I can drive around there because I'm a part of their closed beta.
Well, I don't know. I've signed up. We'll think about that later. But until then, I've been Racing Legend. You've been my amazing viewers. Thank you for watching. Good.